Fun zone, baby. Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Nordista Freeze. Welcome to the Fun Zone. I'm an artist out of Nashville, Tennessee, born and raised, and I'm having a good time while tour is canceled, talking to my friends over Zoom and just kind of catching up with people. That's what Fun Zone's all about. Uh, our next guest in the waiting room has been on the show before. He was on season 1. He was episode 11 with his twin brother, and I'm excited to have him back. It's going to be a great time. If you want to help support the show, help support me in a free way, I would ask, if you could, maybe like this video if you do wind up liking it, and subscribe to the channel. I know every YouTuber says it, but it really does help and really would mean the world to a local independent artist like myself. So thank you so much. And without further ado, let's welcome Rary, as his name is on the waiting room. Rary, is that you?
It's me.
What's up, dude? How's it going?
Going so well. How are you doing?
Are you
I'm so glad
Rary
to
now?
see you. Oh, does it say that? Oh, yeah. That's from the radio show. When me and Jay talk on Zoom for the radio show, then his name says Jerry Groth and my name says Rary. Nobody else can see that normally, so that's funny that you haven't even noticed.
Exposed. That's funny, man. It's really good to see you. It's good to be talking with you. I miss you so much.
I miss you too. I'm so glad to see all those board games behind. Are puzzles maybe? Are we in
Yeah,
your
check it
closet?
out.
Or Becky and Barbie? Maybe it looked like it said disease party. That can't be it.
Dinner party.
Dinner party. All right.
Share a smile with Becky, it says.
Becky is such like an up the middle Barbie name from like the late 90s, early 2000s.
Whoa, she's in a wheelchair.
Oh, well, that's good. They're being inclusive. And honestly, like something Barbie has not been historically good at. So
Yeah,
that's
for
good.
real. Yeah, so this is my family's toy closet, and this is
Very cool.
honestly, I found the only place that there's peace, like and silence, because all 5 of us live here. My sister is a therapist now. She does Zoom call like sessions with like entire families, and then my
Cool.
dad's a middle school teacher. So it's pretty wild. It's pretty chaotic with the Zoom calls and stuff going on.
But not in this safe haven vocal booth isolation room.
Yes, exactly. I thought it kind of had a Wes Anderson charm to it. I thought he might like this background.
Oh, he probably would. It's got that symmetry that he craves. I
Yeah, almost. I need to fix it up a little bit, but I kind of like it. But yeah, man, it's good to see you. You were on episode 11, and now you're back in the Fun Zone.
That's right. That's right. What episode are we at now?
We're on episode 45.
You've done so many episodes
Isn't that crazy?
such a short time.
Yeah, I took 2 months off actually, but when I go hard, I guess. I love doing it, and it's like a good way for me to catch up with people, and
Yeah.
it's honestly been the saving grace without touring. It's been like one thing that really brings me joy. So
Yeah, it's so good. And that does seem kind of like the Nordista Freeze way, is to kind of start out with some idea and then just immediately implement it to its fullest possible effect.
yeah, dude, I
It's just
appreciate you saying that. The flip side is that a lot of times I can't get started. Like I have like most of my ideas are like on the shelf, and I can't do step 1. But if I do step 1,
Oh.
I normally can go pretty hard. But it's like my problem is I am terrified of taking the first step a lot of the time.
Okay, so it's like a paralysis that comes with like not wanting to do it wrong, or is it just the amount of work that's going to be involved? Like, what is it that stops you from doing that?
I think it has something.
Welcome to the Fun Zone. This is where I interview Nordista Freeze about himself.
I love it, dude. This is great. I think that it's something about I don't like doing technical work, and I get
Yes.
freaked out with like for instance Photoshop. I won't buy Photoshop. I refuse to like understand how to use it. And
Yeah.
also like even with music in my home, like I bought Logic. It took me 3 years to make like my first session on Logic. Like it just
Wow.
sat there, and I just couldn't do it. Like I
I
don't
get
know, it's
that.
like a wall.
The first jump on that stuff is so tough. I mean, I say that from actual experience because I do the same thing. I mean, I think that especially musically, it seems like I know the folks that are so much more advanced at it than I am, then it's like hard for me to jump into it and be like, well, I could just do this with a friend that is so much better. Like, it seems like
Exactly.
there's
Yeah.
almost no point in starting, when of course is just a narrative that I'm telling myself so I don't have to work,
Yeah.
which
Right.
is, not healthy. And I think the more healthy thing is what you have done with like Fun Zone and touring and things like that, where you are just going for it, kind of no matter what, and you're just making it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. That is kind of what I like to do, is just start doing it. I mean, I feel like the best way to learn something is to do it. Like, I'd rather learn guitar by like learning songs I enjoy than like
Yeah.
just practicing scales and practicing, in a more technical way, which I'm sure that also has a lot of benefits to it.
Hmm.
But I don't know.
No, I think I'm there with you. And sometimes people have I'm not a great guitarist or anything, but like people have asked me that have like wanted to learn, like, so what do you do? And I'm like, well, if you do what I did when I was in high school, I guess I learned how to play guitar when I was like 15 or something.
Right.
And, and I basically just like sat in my room and like learned how to play all of the riffs from the Coldplay Live 2003 album. Like, you know,
Yeah,
I just
right. Exactly.
like that's what I liked. So I made my guitar sound like that. And then I just like sat up there with headphones and like learned it all, and that's kind of what teaches you how to play stuff.
I think that's a really good point. And that's actually why I don't like running too, because running, I know it sounds like it's not the same thing, but it is in my brain. Running sucks. But if you can be doing something instead, like playing a game or like a sport,
Oh,
then you like run a lot and you don't even think about it. When you're playing soccer, you get
yeah.
worn
You've
out.
distracted yourself. And then you're like, did I just exercise?
Yeah, right. Exactly. I say that because I just got back from a 2-mile run with Grant and Hudson Parker.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you run with people. That's how
Yes.
you get
Well,
around it.
yes, I've been working out with Grant and Clay, my other friend, Clay Mortensen, and we work out like a few times a week. So,
Cool. I've been
yeah.
running a lot more recently. Well, this year I've been running a lot just because it's like, what else am I going to do?
Right.
But I used to run a lot in high school and in college, and I finally got back to it, and I am very bad at running now. Like slow. No, like I have the Nike app that tells me how fast I'm going, and it's supposed to be
Mm,
like encouraging. But when I
yeah.
hear it, I'm like, man, I'm not good at this anymore. And so I have also taken to distracting myself by like, that is when I get my like music listening done, is when I'm running. That's when
Whoa.
I get my
Yeah.
like heavy music listening, like when I'm like really diving in, don't have to think about anything else. So then like I kind of bait myself into exercise
Yeah.
that
Right.
way. I
Yeah.
kind of
That's how you
trick
get that
myself into
the
doing it.
dopamine of listening to new music, which is something you're great at. I've always been. You're probably number one. You're like
At,
you're
at
in the
what?
at least you're in the top tier of people who can get pleasure out of listening to new music.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's my favorite thing. It's my absolute favorite
I
thing.
think that's so cool. And I mean I listen to a lot of new music, probably compared to a lot of people, but you're on a different level. Like you just like
I
dig
think
it, man. It's crazy.
I do. It's probably the least productive thing to be good at. But it is something that is very exciting to me. I I I wish that I was one of those people who who makes music first, and then listens to music second.
Mm,
And I think that maybe in some way I can teach myself to be that. Haven't done that yet. I'm a 28-year-old man, so I, maybe I never will be that. But like at this point, I definitely am music listener first, music maker, not even second. Golly, music maker probably like fifth or sixth. Um, but yeah, not necessarily the most honorable thing to be, but
I don't know, man.
it is what works for me.
It definitely works out to your favor in the ways that you use it. Like you're a great DJ, like at Freeze Fest, like we talked about before,
Yes.
and also you now you DJ on Twitch, like with your brother,
Mm-hmm.
on it's Tuesday nights, right?
Yeah, Tuesday nights from 9 to 11. Having said that, the first season of Real Sword Radio is coming to an end this
Yeah.
upcoming Tuesday will be the last one. We had our holiday special the last couple of weeks, and that was really great. But this last one will be kind of a celebration of the whole year and what we have like gotten to do, and like the people we've been able to hang out with. We're going to do it together, like our
Ooh,
very first one. We're going to do it he's going to come over to my house, and we're only going to use physical media. We're only going to use like my records and like my tapes and stuff like that. It'll be great.
that's awesome, dude. That is so cool. Are you, so something that I'm about to start doing, because I dreamt it up and then I asked you about it and you told me that it existed, exactly what I was looking for, which was um, making playlists where you can add your own audio into it. That's what like
Yes.
Anchor is now allowing
Yes.
to do. Are
Okay,
y'all going
great.
to
So
transition into that?
yes, yeah, that's what we're going to move into for the next thing, is probably that. We've also been talking to some folks about maybe using Mixcloud, which I'm fine with. I just think that Mixcloud doesn't have as wide of a platform. And we're really talking shop here, but like I do think that there's something to be said for Anchor because of like just how many people in the world use like Spotify and Spotify
Right.
podcasts, and like I, I, like where we can kind of go back and forth about the ethics of Spotify, and what it whether how good or bad it is for music in general. But like the real fact is that it's here, and like we might as well use it for like our
Yeah.
stuff if we can.
Yeah,
um
totally, totally. Would
yeah.
you have to download, would people have to be on the platform of Mixcloud to hear it if you did something through them?
No, I think you can also just do it on browser and stuff, but like
Right. That's
I can't
still,
even remember the last time I listened to just anything on a like on my phone, like on a
yeah.
browser, like a Neanderthal. Like it's very, very tough to do that, like to listen to anything where you have to keep it open on your phone, like to still listen to it, like a YouTube video or something. Like that seems so far off of my radar now. That's like if I can't like close it out, like turn my screen off and put my phone in my pocket, then like I'm probably not going to listen to it.
Yeah, right. Has Bandcamp finally fixed that? I know there's always been like a Bandcamp app floating around, but they never seem to like work in
Yes,
the way I want
yeah,
them
I
to.
am one of the probably 4 people in the world who has the Bandcamp app.
And you can
But
play
I
music
do.
on it.
Yeah, you can, and it's good. I don't really know what Bandcamp is. Like I've used it for a lot,
Hmm.
many years, but Bandcamp happened, and then Spotify and Apple Music happened, and I'm not sure what space Bandcamp is supposed to be occupying now. Like
Interesting. Yeah.
I appreciate it, and I feel like it's certainly the most ethical of the services, and
Right.
it's obviously the one that I like wish could be the big one, just for artists sake. But I don't think that there is enough setting it apart from those other services to ever make it that, or maybe there is,
Yeah,
I just
right.
haven't like explored that. But I don't know.
What
I
yo,
love Bandcamp as an idea. I think that
yeah,
like
me too,
as an
me
idea, it's
too.
great, and I love that they're pretty transparent with like where the money's going, and like how that stuff works. And I love that you can. That's also like a pretty easy place to like also buy artists merch and stuff, like buying
Right.
like tapes and t-shirts and stuff like that. And that's very exciting to me. Um, and I will oftentimes like direct people to Bandcamp if they're asking about an artist or something. But I don't know how, like, I don't think it's ever gonna do any kind of big takeover or anything.
Yeah, I guess the whole point of it was to buy digital music, which does not exist anymore. So,
Yeah.
but on the app, can you stream music that you haven't purchased? You have to buy it to be able to stream
Yeah,
it.
yeah, I think so. I think you can. It just they just make it pretty clunky on purpose. Like they make it so that you have to, keep the tab open, and like even to switch songs, I don't think it'll
Even on
like
the app?
go to the uh I think so. Boy, not a very good Bandcamp user. I can't
I'm not
remember off the
either.
top of
I
my
have the
head. Like,
Bandcamp app too. I think I just never use it.
really, honestly,
Whatever.
Bandcamp has just become a way for me to, because like I have a couple of friends that like they've just decided that that's where they're gonna release music, and that's
Right.
fine. But like Bandcamp has become like my friend Hiko Mori, Anthony Merriweather, who like Bandcamp is basically just like a Hiko Mori machine for me now. Like it's just like, that's when I want to listen to Hikomori, I'll open up Bandcamp.
Yeah,
He's like
right.
probably the only artist I follow on there. And then also like a lot of like older artists, like OGs from the 90s and stuff will have their stuff only on Bandcamp, and like that's where I'll buy their merch and stuff like that.
Right.
But other than that, it's like I don't feel like I use it very much. I don't know.
That's interesting. That's kind of a similar. I remember on our last time I brought you on, you and Jay were talking about how you felt like you said something really that I'd never really heard said before, which was that like the instruments and ways that people were creating music that felt culturally relevant, 10 years ago are no longer the same tools like that people use to make the music that's like the most exciting music or like culturally relevant.
Yeah. Or are you talking about like not like in 2020 compared to like the 90s?
Or yeah, maybe like the early 2000s, like the Shins and like I think we're talking about like indie
Oh,
music.
right. Right. Yeah. I would say the tools aren't the same, but that just has to do with the fact that the platforms aren't the same either. Like
Right.
in the 90s, then we had CDs, which by nature of them encouraged album listening.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that a lot of stuff was made with the intention of listening to the album as a whole, which is very exciting and still happens now and is exciting that way too. But like stuff was like designed with that in purpose, like with that in mind, where I feel like now there's a lot less like slow burn kind of stuff.
Right.
And like, I'm not sure that an artist like the Shins would be, if they were starting out now, I don't think there would really be a way for them to, like an avenue for them to get that kind of stardom.
That's
Just
so interesting.
because they would be using those kind of antiquated, like, those antiquated tools and
Yeah,
antiquated
right.
like design purposes, which is fine. And like there are some bands and artists out there that are doing that are awesome and that are really like successful. But it
Right.
looks very, very different. And that's
Hmm.
fine. Like that's still very exciting to me. But I definitely don't think that like somebody like oh, who's the other Shins? Who's the band that we all like that has Feist in it, that is from the early 2000s? Um,
Polyphonic Spree.
no, I wish that too. Okay,
I
that
didn't know
too.
Feist was in a band.
No,
That
yeah,
was my
she was
first
Broken
guess.
Social Scene.
Oh, I didn't know
That's what it
she
is.
was in Broken Social Scene.
Yeah, yeah, that was
I
her
had no
band.
I had no idea. Wow.
And like, and I think that would be in the same category of like Broken Social Scene was like made to have to like be taken in as a giant piece. Like a
Right.
lot of their songs don't really make sense by themselves. Like they're not really like,
Right.
even though they were considered like a pop band, like an indie pop band, like I don't think that that's like I think that the closest thing, like the way that we have to relate to that now is so different and is almost like the way that we relate to like classic rock or something.
Yeah, right. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, or like I think of the microphones too as a big example for me. But yeah, I mean the whole idea of like the concept album and just in general, like every band back then was making like 45 minutes worth of music
Yeah.
for like a big album. And yeah, I don't know how do you listen to, or like when you're discovering new music or even just listening to music that you already enjoy. um you use Spotify mainly, right? Is it the
I use Apple Music mainly. I have Spotify because we use it for the radio show,
right?
but I mainly use Apple Music, and that's not because I think it's so much better than Spotify. I mean, they're both. It's like choosing between Exxon and Regions Bank.
Yeah.
I, I I think that like I use Apple because it's like when I was in like college, then my family got a whole plan where we all got it, and so then we all just
Right.
started using it, and I got used to the interface, and I like it, and they also have great radio stuff that Spotify doesn't have, so I like that too. Um, but like I think that when I'm like discovering music, a lot of that is probably not on streaming. Recently, it has been a little bit, but I think a lot of times when I'm like discovering music, it's through like probably through like social media, like, which is kind of a yucky way
Interesting.
to say it, but I think that like a lot of times I'll look at what my favorite artists are listening to, because like they're probably a little bit more plugged into stuff than like the than like the playlisters at Spotify, or
Right. Yeah.
they're on a different level, where I think that like Spotify is very good at organizing and using an algorithm, but a lot of times like what that boils down to is more like kind of money stuff, which
Mhm.
isn't like, I don't think it's nefarious in any way, but it just is. A lot of times the music that's made that's more exciting to me is the stuff that artists are listening to and vibing. And a lot of times those artists are like, happen to be like friends with, I mean, just like you and your friends in Nashville who are all like killing it and like making cool music. But it's like Spotify probably doesn't know to tell me about like the artists that play at Freeze Fest, like,
Yeah.
but you do. Like if I
Right.
follow at Nordista Freeze, that's how I know, so
And
I
I'm
think
I'm
that,
literally traveling to those cities to get that boots on the ground like information in a certain sense. Like I'm just going on tour, but like if I'm gonna know about a band, it's because like no Spotify's not sending a rep to go around to like talk to college kids in every city and be like, hey, what's the coolest local band? But like that's
yeah,
essentially what I'm doing. So in a way, it's like you're right. Like for me, curating Freeze Fest is gonna be more. It's just gonna be different than what's the way that Spotify is creating their algorithms and figuring that out.
yeah, it feels like a much more human way, reasons to like things, I think. Like
Hmm.
not to say that I haven't been a like not to say that I haven't benefited from some algorithm stuff, because I mean I totally have. um but I definitely think that like the stuff that is more lasting to me in 2020 is like finding out who an artist is before I see how many streams they have, or
Right.
whatever, not that that doesn't matter, because obviously it does, but like I think that it's more like exciting to me to like to find out about an artist and like be able to kind of learn some semblance of a story about them, and then have that translate over into like streaming and things like that.
Totally. So when
um
you say social media, do you mean like a playlist, like on Apple Music, or or do you mean like
Crisp,
on Instagram or
grip it and rip
something?
it. um I guess I'm saying like I don't really use social media for like uh, it's so easy to be like, oh, Instagram is bad, because it probably is. I still use it all the time, um but I don't really use it for like friend stuff, really, just because I think that kind of opens up like a can of worms, and like some social responsibilities that I don't really have the like
Hmm.
wherewithal to take care of, really.
Right.
I don't really follow very many people that I know, really. That's not really what I use it for. I follow a lot of artists, and I like a lot of like visual artists, and then a lot of like musicians that I like and I'm interested in what they're doing. And
That's
I
cool.
definitely use it a lot more for that. And I'm not saying that people that do use it for social stuff is bad. I'm just saying that like I don't have I'm just not very good at like upholding my end of the social bargain that entails.
Yeah. Right.
Um,
Yeah. Totally.
so
So
that's how I use it. So like if I see, so like I love Remy Wolf, who I mean got to be one of the artists of 2020. I think. I mean I think she's incredible, and or somebody like John
yeah.
Dawson, who I think are just absolutely killing it, making music that isn't like anybody else, and music that is really like beautiful and exciting. Then like chances are I'm probably gonna like whatever they like. If they are posting, if they like post a couple of Instagram stories being like, y'all got to check out this band, then like I'm probably going to like, I'll
Right.
probably like
Right.
use that as a way to find out about somebody that I never would have really known about.
That's
And that's
interesting.
even more exciting to me, because I'm like, oh, if Remy Wolf likes this, then like then I probably like this, So
Right. I thought you were
and
referring more to like playlists, but you're like because also at least on Spotify, I guess on Apple Music, you can also like I will do like today I was listening to Of Montreal. They were like, here's some bands that influenced their most recent album. I
oh
was
cool.
listening to that for a second. I do that a lot on Spotify, like or like Jacob Collier has a playlist
Yeah.
that he like updates all the time, and So if I can listen to like what they're listening to, that's interesting to me. But also, yeah, I see
Yeah.
what you mean. Like just literally who they post about or who they're hanging out with, learning
Yeah.
from that.
Yeah, then sometimes that's even more personal. Although I definitely do like a lot of those artists I'm talking about do make playlists. Like a lot of my favorite producers. There's a producer named Oscar. Oh, you know Oscar
Yeah,
Scheller,
Oscar's awesome, dude.
who yeah, that guy just rules. And he
Straight
has a
up.
playlist that I religiously follow, and like that's definitely one type of thing that I'm like sort of always getting behind. Like everything that Oscar posts, I probably like it. Like he has
Yeah.
a great ear for like perfect pop that I like would never know how to find, that he just knows how to find. So I love that. And there's an artist named Rat Boy who
Yeah.
like turned me on to a lot of
Wait, did you see
like
Rat Boy live at the East Room with me?
did I? It sounds amazing. I wish I had. I
Weird.
love Rat Boy. Um, but I think that he posts a lot of like older like hip hop and like older reggae stuff that I like kind of would never think to listen to, but then like
Interesting.
I will listen to that a lot. Are we thinking of the same Rat Boy? Because if
I
Rat
don't
Boy was
know.
touring in America, I would lose my mind.
Probably not. We can't be then.
I
Is
don't
Rat
know.
Boy not the name of a band that I saw at the East Room?
I don't know. Golly, do you remember seeing bands?
Oh no. That was my whole like not only even touring, even if I was in town, I'd be going to a show every night,
Yeah, for sure. And when you were touring, you were still seeing a different band like every
Yeah,
single
yeah.
night.
Like 3 bands aside from us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, totally. It wouldn't even be just one. It would probably be a lot. It'd be a ton of bands, I guess.
Yeah, Rat Boys with an S was a band that I saw coming through on tour.
Oh, never heard of Rat Boys. I just know Rat Boy, who I
Oh, that's
love.
cool too. Well, I gotta check that out then. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so Anthony Fantano, who I'm sure you are aware of at least. I don't know
Yeah,
his.
he makes the funny faces on his thumbnails and he points at the records on his wall. I've never
Yeah.
watched a video, but I know that he does that.
Whoa, wow,
Wait,
that's
do we like
crazy.
Anthony Fantano?
I personally do. I like Anthony, but a lot of people
I,
have different
I don't
takes.
know. Like I have literally never heard an opinion about Anthony Fantano. I just know that anytime I open up the YouTube app on my phone or like he's always there. So he's
Yeah,
obviously permeated some giant section of the musical sphere, and I just haven't dipped in.
he's very he's very open minded. I mean, he'll tear something to shreds. Like he roasts albums and he's really critical sometimes. But typically, even when you hear him totally disagree with what you think about an album, you're like, I love this album. I can't believe he said that. It doesn't like hurt. Like you don't feel like it's like it doesn't make you mad like Pitchfork. He's very
Yeah.
earnest and like seems like a genuine dude. And yeah, I like him a lot. And he's really smart. He's got an incredible taste in music. I mean,
Cool.
it's
Yeah, I
but
know
it's
he
great.
like I think like the very first Caro Bonito thing he was on like before anybody else, and I feel like he was
Cool.
probably on like Gex before anybody was on Gex, and like
He's actually kind of critical of Gex now.
oh really?
Yeah, he said that he kind of concluded that their album was a little bit of too much of a novelty. Like it
Oh
didn't like
yeah.
resonate with him enough. He was like, I think they need to like I don't know. It was an interesting take. Like I could see how somebody could arrive there, but I also just
I want
loved
to
that
listen to
album.
it. I want to. Is it like it's like videos, right, of him
Yeah,
talking
he does
about these
video
albums?
reviews, and then he also just does a ton of other stuff on his channel, about
Cool.
like talking about music. But anyway, he does like kind of more like vloggy or like conversation stuff. And he was talking about algorithms the other day, and I was listening to it, and he's basically saying if you could the more you can like organically find music, the better that's going to be for music, and the more you rely on an algorithmic playlist, like that's just we don't know what that algorithm is. And so like he's
Yeah.
talking more about Spotify, but like I think he was kind of advising people to stay away from things like Discover Weekly and like more go towards like if your favorite band is a playlist, check that out because you don't know. And I'll say like there was a while when I had a kind of a honeymoon phase with like Discover Weekly or also on
Yeah.
Spotify, even when the album ends, they'll autoplay just some more music. And I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes they just nail it. Like still to this day, sometimes I'll get a certain album will end and they will just start nailing me with like music that I'm like, oh my gosh, like
Yeah.
obscure 60s songs. But then now that I've had a little bit more time to live with it, I've begun to realize it's the same songs. It's really
Yep.
weird. And like
Yep.
those artists who are like from the 60s or 70s, right? It'll be like something that's old, but someone's putting money into it. And then I'll see other people posting the same album or the same song. And I'm just like, what? There's something going on promoting this. It's not just random, you know?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, there's definitely money behind it. Like that's kind of why I wanted to say, like, I don't think that it's nefarious. Like, I mean, they got to make money, and like that's what's happening. But
Yeah,
I do. It definitely is not exciting to me. It's definitely,
right.
it takes the humanity out of it, and there's a lot of like things about the Spotify algorithm that a lot of even other streaming services I think do a little bit better.
Yeah,
Like Apple, who I'm not a stan for by any means, but I do use it. And Apple directs people a lot more towards like radio that is hosted by artists, which I think is really cool and
that's
exciting. Like
interesting.
you get to like every week I get to listen to Charlie XCX's radio show, and she'll play me like, an hour, 60 more minutes of just like dance music that I would have literally never heard,
Wow,
and
that's so cool.
Elton John has a show that is really great where he like compares new and old music, and it's really exciting. And
Wow.
Gorillaz have a show, and um, Ezra from Vampire Weekend does a show that is really, really great. Where it's less about music and more about other stuff. But like, that's one thing that I think is a little bit more like a little bit more exciting to me than kind of getting a playlist without any sort of context.
Right.
I think it probably, unless the song just like absolutely blows me away, it's kind of harder to like get excited about that stuff when I don't have any kind of context. Like anybody can convince me to like anything probably. And I
Yeah,
don't really think that that's bad. Like
totally. I
I
totally
think that
relate to that.
when people like frame stuff up to me in a certain way, and they're like, yeah, you're really gonna love this. You're really gonna love this. And then I start to like believe them. And then whatever they play for me, like I'm probably gonna love it. Cause
Yeah,
I just, I think that like Spotify is a little bit more, it just feels a little bit more yucky. It feels a little bit more like, oh, okay, so these are the people who funneled their money into playlisting,
right.
and that is fine. Like a lot of, I have friends, that are really good at playing that game and kind of like riding the Spotify wave. And I think that that is amazing that they can do that. And I always love like checking up on some of my friends' music and being like, wow, they've got 1 million plays on Spotify,
Oh
like
my gosh,
something like
yeah,
that. It's like,
it's crazy.
I haven't checked on Nordista Freeze. I bet you're in the millions.
No, dude, not at all. I can't play the algorithms at all. All of my listens are organic aside from Wisteria, which is on Discover Weekly every week, so it gets pretty big boost. It just
Oh,
passed
cool.
300,000, which is cool for me.
Woo!
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
6 digits.
Yeah, man. I don't know how people do the millions. One, I think some people work with distributors that proactively help them, like Level does for some people, or like The Orchard. And then
Yeah.
also just having really, really trendy music. It's just I don't know.
Yeah, man, I wonder how much that has to do, like I wonder which comes first. Like
And
I
labels,
wonder
obviously.
if the trendy music, I wonder if the music isn't trendy in and of itself. Unless it's well, no, I don't want to call names or anything, but like I think that probably the streams, like I think that probably the money makes the music
Yeah.
trendy. Um
Hmm.
Now, I don't know that there's anything that is like, unless like that's the joke or something, is that
Right.
it's like fully trendy. Like probably Gex is like, I would assume that, yeah, like the reason that Gex is like fun and cool, and why they, pushed music forward so well last year was because like it was kind of like using um algorithmic elements to create kind of like the most irreverent musical landscape, but still like kind of forcing those super catchy melodies like down your throat and just being like, do you guys like this, and
Yeah.
then the algorithm just had to be like, sure, I guess Gex, like I don't know, sure. and
Wow,
then
that's
we
such a good
and then
point.
we all like and then we all decided we liked it, because it's great, but
Yeah.
we all decided we liked it, and then the algorithm followed. And I love to be able to see like when an artist can kind of do that in spite of the algorithm, or like use the algorithm to their own advantage while still maintaining like a healthy distance. I think that's exciting to me.
I think that is really exciting too. You know, one of the things that I really want to talk about today is about how to kind of get into which we've are basically been working towards this whole time anyway, organically, is the idea of like how, if it's still possible to make it as an artist in a sense of like paying, you know, like supporting yourself. Yeah, like money wise. In this world. And obviously it seems like the short answer would be yes, but I've been really thinking hard over all of quarantine, and I still believe in that dream, but it's like I'm realizing now that like once I lost touring, I realized that wow, there's like a field, there's like all these like roads that you can go down, and you can do a little bit of each of them, or you can shoot really hard in one direction. And there's, I don't know, I kind of want to get into that with you because I'm curious what you think are different ways that people make it now. It's almost more like you're a music artist, but you're also just like a personality now. And it's like you have, I mean, it's always kind of been that way. Like you sell merch, and maybe you premiere on like, or you'd be in like a TV show or have like in music videos and stuff. But like now it's really like, I don't know. There are people who like make it on TikTok and on Instagram. So there's every social media.
Yeah.
And then there's people like the Arcadian Wild who raise a ton of money every time they want to make an album on Kickstarter. Like they really do the Kickstarter game. And there's like Patreon. It's like it's whole world of Patreon.
And Patreon is really interesting. Well, but Patreon and Kickstarter are really interesting to me. I don't know how, like, that stuff is hard for me to say like it's good or bad. I definitely think it's not black and white. It is kind of weird for me to see an album that was crowdfunded that then also makes money off the back end. Like I am fine with Kickstarter existing. I am fine with musicians using Kickstarter, I guess. I think that there's some stuff that warrants a Kickstarter and some stuff that doesn't, because in some ways, like, you can never really deliver on the promises that you're making beforehand. And I think that kind of compromises the art in some way. I'm really talking from an ivory tower, because I'm not the one who's had to use it or who's decided to use it or anything. So, definitely take nothing of what I'm saying as like fact or anything. It's just like it's definitely like an ethical hurdle that I need to get over. Like, I've supported a ton of artists on Kickstarter, and I think that it is like, I think that for some artists that I know, like, that is the way that they can get their thing made, and that is fine. But then there's also like artists that are kind of bigger, like that are already making money from like streams and from touring. They're making like pretty good money from that stuff, that are still using Kickstarter. And that to me seems like an abuse of the system.
Interesting. Well, okay, so I'm going to push back. I'd be interested to hear, what if the artist or like the relationship is framed as more like they are buying the product before it exists? Like it's more of just like a pre-sale. They're like, here's the album and the merch. If 10 or, I'm trying to think of a number. If 200 people buy it, for $25, buy like the album, the vinyl album, it probably more than that, like $45, you get like a vinyl record and a t-shirt and a sticker that's like signed. In that sense, it's almost like a pre-sale.
Yes, that is different to me. That's different to me because like it isn't like, so you give me this money and I will make the thing that you like, and also everybody else will get to have the same stuff as you. Like,
right.
Kickstarter does do like the rewards thing, and I think that is good sometimes. And if it's like, yeah, if you're paying and you're getting a record that costs, I mean, from experience, so much money to make,
Right.
and t-shirts, and stuff like that, like that's different. That's more like what we were talking about with Bandcamp, where it's like that seems fine. But I think that like for other stuff, like, then I think that I'm trying to think of like a specific artist that it was. I was just talking to Jay about it a few days ago, where it was like there was a bigger artist that was using Kickstarter because they wanted to record their next album, but like there wasn't really any plus for the backers, like except for like kind of delivering on this promise of like, oh yeah, and for what it's worth, like the art that I make is going to be the art that you like, and like
Yeah.
that seems less cool to me than being able like to make something and then have that piece speak for itself. And then I don't know, I have way less opinions on that stuff that I'm making it sound like I do.
I think it's incredibly
I'm a lot
interesting.
more interested in like what I see more people doing, which is like making their, like paving their own lanes for what they are. Like you were talking about with like creating some sort of, it sounds yucky to say, but like creating some sort of cult of personality, that you are also selling, you know. Like I, I I think that like the artists that I have been the most excited about in 2020, 2019, 2018 have been artists that have done that, like artists that have not taken the paths that were already available, like either whether that be like a label or something like I don't know, like I think that like somebody like let's say Deaton Chris Anthony, who you know that I love very, very much, one of my favorite artists from the last couple of years, like Deaton he uses the kind of regular approaches, like he makes albums and then they stream and then you listen to them, but a lot of times like he has also garnered this huge appeal because of the way that he treats something like social media, or even the ways that he chooses to release his music, which is all like hyper specific, usually like kind of autobiographical. Like uh, I don't want to stray into trying to talk like the Spotify guy. I can't remember what his name is, Daniel Eck, or I can't remember what Spotify guy's name is.
I can't remember either.
Like obviously I don't want to like, you know, speak the way that guy does about being an artist, and he's like, oh yeah, it's all different now and you just have to keep making stuff and put it out immediately. And like but I do think that there is something to be said for like the artists that like always are making, that like are using art as their job. And like Deaton obviously has got the streams now to just do music forever, but like it wasn't that way like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And he was doing a lot of other stuff, like a lot of other stuff that he was good at. Like he like designs clothes and he makes videos and like he does all this cool stuff. And all the time he's kind of like letting people in on his world,
Yeah.
while he makes it, which is a lot less like that to me is doing the work that Kickstarter is trying to do. Like I get that Kickstarter is trying to like engender some sort of ownership for the people that are putting money into it, like where they put money into it and they're like, yes, this is something that I care about because I've put my dollars into it, whether consciously or unconsciously. But like I think that Deaton kind of like engenders that support a lot more organically, and I think that there's a lot of people that do that now.
I think that's a good point.
I would say that like that's the Nordista Freeze kind of way. It seems like it seems like, you know, people, you've created a world that people can step into in a lot of different ways now, like what Fun Zone being only one of many. But like in a lot of different ways, people can kind of step into like a world where they feel like they are part of something, and it doesn't
Yeah.
require them to be like, and here's $40 so that you can put my name in the liner notes of your CD. Like uh, I just think that that's like, there's something a little bit more like exciting to me about that. And I think there's a lot of artists that are doing that. They're kind of like doing music in a way that nobody else has before, and like
Yeah.
releasing music at a rate that nobody else has before. Like, I think that it's so exciting when artists um, make something and then release it the same week. Like, uh, uh, like I think that I have definitely been caught up in the trap of being like, listening to all these, listening to Kendrick Lamar or whoever's like stuff sounds amazing, and I'm like, well, I can't release anything that I make until it sounds as good as that.
Right.
When like even the stuff that I mostly listen to is like a lot more like self-done and self-released and self-made, because I do think that's kind of how you do it now. Like,
Right.
I, I don't really see a ton of use for labels unless they're like major labels with like a bazillion dollars, and but like
True.
smaller labels, I think that they're trying to get you on there after you've already done all the work. Whereas
Right.
like, whereas if you're already going to do all the work and garner enough appeal to have a smaller label look at you and say, well, I want to have a piece of that, then like you might as well just keep going yourself because you're already doing it.
Right.
That's kind of how I feel. That's probably how I feel about Nordista Freeze. Like you're already doing it. I mean, I don't know. You're the one that is a more successful musician, so I'd like to know your like thoughts on that. But in my mind, like unless a label has just so much money to offer you, like I think that making it as an artist just means like probably doing it the way that you like, and continuing to be able to do that, which I think it seems like you are.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've had friends more recently who are like signed to Atlantic specifically, like two or three, and they all seem to
Yeah,
benefit greatly from it. So yeah, I've definitely, when I think about labels, I think about big labels. I don't even really consider like, oh, it'd be cool to be on a smaller label. For some reason, I've
yeah,
just never even considered that. So yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. Although, if a label took me out to dinner and could explain to me why they could be beneficial, whether big or small, I'm definitely interested. I'm interested in working with anybody if it makes
yeah.
sense. Like I'll read a contract, anyone who thinks they can help me, but yeah, at the end of the day, I just don't really want to sell my music. It just kind of creeps me out. It's like,
Yeah, there's something very, very creepy about it.
yeah,
I was watching earlier today. I was watching this interview with Count Basie, who
cool.
is rapper and writer and producer from Nashville, which is amazing.
Yeah, that's right.
But he was basically saying like, um, you know, those most labels are really trying to get you to do all of the work, really.
It's crazy.
He's like, unless you're on just like the absolute most massive labels that like, in the 90s and in the 80s and stuff like that, like there were scouts out there that were going to shows and being like, well, this kid's got talent, I'm going to make them famous.
Right,
Um and that's not really the way it works now, because they don't have the money to do that. Like they don't have the money to back it, really. Like,
right.
so now it's like, oh, this person is already successful on their own terms, I would like a piece of that too. And that's just not the way that like cool music is made anymore. So like, unless, I think that like obviously Atlantic is different, and
Right. Yes,
Atlantic is
exactly.
giant
Yeah, it's
and
huge.
like is going to have money, forever. And that seems different to me. But like, I do think that it is exciting when artists can do it without that. And a lot of times the
Yeah.
music reflects it. Not all the time. Like, I'm not saying that independent music is like has to be more exciting. But a lot of times it just turns out that way.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about this. That'd be a perfect time to say it. I've been listening to Spotify released the top artists of 2020 USA
Oh,
alongside
nice.
like the whole like Spotify rap thing. And so I've been listening to it today, like going through the whole thing. I mean, it's got Post Malone, Taylor Swift, Drake,
What? Drake is
Beyonce,
in the top artists?
Dua Lipa, Doja Cat, all this stuff. And most of it I genuinely never listened to. I mean, Chris Brown, Drake, even Lil Wayne and Eminem. It's like I literally never listened to any of these people.
It's crazy how many of those people are like over the age of 35. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
that it
Got
that
some
that's
olds in
actually a
there.
really good point. And listening to it, honestly, most of the music in here I don't like, which is weird because I kind of been thinking lately. I'm like a pop guy, like I really am. Like I've realized that about myself. I love pop
Yeah,
music,
me
but
too.
this stuff isn't even. It's just not exciting, and it kind of just weirded me out. I was
Yeah.
kind of curious. Do you listen to a lot of those artists? Like, would you listen to, like J. Cole or like I don't know this like
Sure.
stuff like that?
I guess. I
Chris
guess like
Brown,
uh, Drake does.
Ed Sheeran.
Ed Sheeran is like, I don't know. That kind of stuff is like stuff that's like, like you can put on at like your stepmom's house or like your grandmother's house, and she'll be like, "Oh, I love this," like,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
fine. Like, you know, I I think that there is definitely a reason for that. Like, I
Mhm.
know that anytime I hear like that kind of stuff, I, I'm probably like buying some medicine at Walgreens or something. Like I don't know. Like, there's nothing that's like that. That there's nothing that is like I'm never gonna be like get out my phone and be like, "Whoa, Siri, who is this?"
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
um, but I do
I
think
agree.
that like I do think that like those artists have had like their time like in the sun, and they like did some cool stuff. Like, I'm not gonna say I don't like Drake. Like, we love Drake.
I've never
But
listened to Drake a single time. I have some weird Kanye beef with
that
him.
can't be true.
No, I
Reese.
genuinely have heard Hotline Bling. Do not know a single other song. I have some weird chip on my shoulder where I think that Kanye invented Drake with 808s and heartbreaks, and I won't give Drake a chance.
Uh,
I think he's whiny. I want to like him. I need to. Like, for the sake of my happiness,
Fine with Drake. You don't like Club Going Up on Tuesday? Remember that
never. I don't think I've heard
from
that.
your
Or
from your middle school days?
club going up on a Tuesday, something like that. Yeah, kids used to sing that in the hallway.
Yeah,
Yeah,
great
yeah,
song. Drake is a
that's
feature on
cool.
that one. Drake still does a lot. I think that Drake kind of forces himself into the cultural like zeitgeist pretty well. Like,
Oh
Drake
yes, so
definitely keeps a
frustrating.
good idea. Well, I don't
it's
know.
it's no, you're right. It's
Like
cool. It's cool.
I
Whatever.
guess like all I'm saying is that those artists, the reason that they're all so old is because like to me it seems like they got all their money, and then they are investing a lot of that money. They got all that money like 10 years ago, maybe
Right.
15. I don't know.
Yeah.
How long has Taylor Swift been going? 10 years, surely.
Oh yeah, way more than that. We can check
Maybe
it out.
15. I don't know how old Taylor Swift is. Probably like 35. I don't know how old she is. But it's like those artists like made a lot of money, and so they're the ones that have the money to invest in being played everywhere
Yeah.
still,
Right. Right.
like, whereas since the industry has changed so much, like a lot of even a lot of like the bigger artists from the last couple of years, they will never be in that like in that kind of world class
Yeah.
like kind of stuff, just because it's
Dang,
changed
dude,
so much.
that
But like,
sucks.
I don't know. I mean, does it though? Like, I don't know that it sucks really. Like, I think that it's like what happened in 1977 when like everybody was like, boy, we sure have been listening to Rod Stewart and Yes for so long, and like that kind of like either like prog or like super like macho kind of like 70s rock, like I think that in 77 everybody was like, wow, these are the people that are getting all of the attention, and then like punk happened
Mm.
for a beautiful year of like every single person in the world started a band and started like a new punk band, and they're all good, and um and music started to like splinter off again.
Mm,
I think that we are reaching the end of the time where it's like everybody's listening to Ed Sheeran. Like, I definitely don't know people my age or younger that are like turning on Ed Sheeran. I mean, maybe they are, but like I don't know them.
yeah.
Like I like hearing that barefoot on the grass song because I think that it's funny to sing with his accent. But like I don't think that I know, like, you know, the only times I'm gonna listen to Ed Sheeran are like when I'm at like my aunt's house or something, you know.
Right.
Um
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, that's interesting. I mean, I'd be interested to see. I mean, I'm definitely here for it. I'm excited to see how it continues to change. You know, I'm definitely. We're talking about Spotify a lot and like streaming services and even things like Kickstarter and Patreon. Like, I think that there's still avenues and even like apps and like websites and ideas that like haven't even that we don't even know about yet. That maybe in 5 years will be everything. You know, because like right now, content's being created on these like social media apps, and
mhm.
the difference between like streaming apps like Netflix and Hulu, and then like music streaming apps, and then social media. Like I feel like there's gonna be something that just creates like a, a new way to create content that we don't even know about yet. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? That's
totally.
not just like making funny videos or making music or being like a big budget film thing or show
I,
thing. You
I
know?
also I also think that that's sort of what I mean when like when I'm talking about 1977 and punk, or even like 2004 and Napster, like, which
Yeah.
I think was also, you know, or I guess Napster really and like wasn't like the late 90s, but like when people started, you know, like torrenting music and stuff in the 2000s, like I think that both of those were kind of like musical revolutions that didn't destroy what happened before it, but just kind of like opened up some new like alternate routes to make cool musical art. And I think that we're probably almost there. Like I even think that TikTok probably has done a lot of cool stuff. I don't have it. I don't have the app. Or no, actually, I did. I got the app the day it came out. Still haven't opened it. But I I know that like a lot of pretty cool like pop songs have like happened because of that, and a lot of songs that like
Mm-hmm.
have little to no streaming appeal, like like Aaron Cartier, that King Tap song, which is amazing, and it's like produced by Umru, who's like a super cool producer. Like that song has, there's nothing in it that is going to get it playlisted on literally anything.
Mm.
But it was just crazy and weird enough to like do really well on TikTok, and like now people are listening to the rest of that guy's music, which is like unbelievable. He's an you know, an incredible
Cool.
artist.
Yeah.
And like I think that's probably true for a lot of people. I know that like I heard that whole lot of Choppa's songs so many times because of different like TikToks that people would send me, and now
Right.
I just like listen to that song anyway. Like I just go to Spotify and listen to that song, you
Right.
know.
Yeah. It's
So
true.
I think there is something to be said for like the TikTok stuff, but I do think that it is pretty limiting on like what kinds of music can thrive in that space.
That's
Um,
true.
I,
That's really
I,
interesting.
I, I think that there is, I think that you're right about there something else that is going to not be streamed. I don't know what that is. I don't know whether that's something
Yeah.
that's more live, more kind of like live streaming, or something that something that gets you a little bit closer. Because I think that a lot of times um these kind of like newer and more exciting apps like have to do with kind of like getting more into each other's homes and into each other's minds,
Mm.
and or what we want to believe are each other's homes and minds.
Mm.
um and I wonder if there's like some kind of live thing that is going to be more, that is going to be like the most, that is going to really like change the game. I don't know what that will be.
Yeah,
but
right.
I'm hoping that it's like something that doesn't lend itself to as much kind of like bullshitting as the other as the last few apps have been,
Yeah,
especially
definitely.
Instagram. You know, like Instagram,
Yeah.
that's one of the worst, I would say, for like over glamorizing. And you know, people can use it really well, but I don't know how to, and I certainly don't know how those people are doing it. But yeah.
I'm excited for the day when Instagram influencers are like a thing of the past and cultures move past that. And I know that we're going to, because it's just the thing with that. I don't know if it's just
It doesn't seem like a terribly sustainable lifestyle for sure.
yeah, it doesn't. And you know, it's like all these apps do this thing where they start out by being something that's very attractive, and then slowly capitalism just like creeps its way in. You know, at first it's like, oh, you post a
Yes.
picture, then it's like, oh, I see you can like get some clout, and it's like, oh, it's funny, and it's like, oh, now there's like brands being sold to you, and you can click on the swimsuit model, and she's like, oh, buy my swimsuit, and also like, here's my entire lifestyle, and I have millions of followers, and I'm literally promoting every single thing in my picture. It's like,
Yeah.
then we
And
move past that, you know.
Instagram used to be a lot better at kind of like tricking you into doing that and kind of like couching it and being like, ooh, but you know, like it being very kind of stealthy about it. With the most recent update, it has turned into absolute capitalist nightmare. Like
It's unbelievable.
got the shopping icon right where you're used to clicking the heart to like find out all of your online love and affection. Like
Yeah,
it has truly turned into a absolute hellscape.
it's replaced your heart with a store.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
it's
it's pretty.
like, and they're not even like joking about it anymore. They're just like, all right, this is what we're
Yeah,
about.
yeah, totally. And you know, another another element to it all is the government, which, you know, as of today, apparently, like, there's a big bunch of lawsuits. I think, are a lot of like senators or something are like suing Facebook, and they're trying to break up Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram. Even that would be incredibly interesting.
Oh wow.
You know,
I don't know. I have been at work all day, and I do not know what you are talking about. So I'd like to use Nordista Freeze's Fun Zone as a news outlet for you to tell me what happened.
well, I know you have to leave soon, but I have it pulled up right here. It's breaking: FTC plus 48 state attorneys sue Facebook, alleging the company illegally crushes smaller rivals in the competition. They're calling for the spinoff of Instagram and WhatsApp, a move that Zuckerberg has called existential for Facebook.
Lit.
So
All
yeah,
right. I mean, hey, I'll tell you what. Like, Facebook is a big part of my job, like for my like day job, and I
yeah,
you know use it for stuff. But if I don't have the option to log in and see like my old high school teachers and like some relatives like kind of saying some racist stuff, then like that seems good to me. Like I'd love to not have the option anymore. You know,
yeah,
like
right. Yeah,
I,
that's a great point.
I think that a lot of the kind of like Trump era ideals and like a lot of the discourse that has arisen from the kind of open evil of what that man has perpetuated. Like,
Yeah,
I think that a lot of that is like pretty easily stirred up by like, um, I don't want to, I'm not want to be ageist, but like by some older folks on Facebook.
yeah, yeah.
So like, boy, if we can take away that avenue, um, that would be great. Like that only sounds good to me. Zuckerberg's going to be fine. You know, he
Yeah,
doesn't need this anymore.
we'll see, man. It's definitely gonna be interesting to keep having these conversations with you on Fun Zone, as you know, in 2021 and beyond. Because, and I think we're gonna keep. I I wish we could talk for hours and hours more. So you'll have to come back on for season
I
3. And
know.
I really would. I really want to talk more about this, because I think you. I will say, you genuinely are having me rethink Kickstarter, because I think that you're right. There is something really weird about just like somebody just lifting the entire curtain and just being like, give me cash so me can make project. Like, it's not always unethical or always uncool. Like, there are really good ways to do that, but there are other times when maybe it's not the best option. For instance, if you can get people to just support you in a way that feels organic, where they're just like, oh, I love supporting this person, then
Yeah.
like there's a Patreon that I'm a community that I'm about to jump in on, because I've been watching these guys on YouTube, and they put a lot of content behind the paywall, and they're just like, hey, like, we genuinely need your help. And if you pay $5 a month, we've got like 40 hours now of content on our Patreon.
Yeah,
I think that's cool.
That seems cool to me. Like, and I'm not even, man, I definitely don't want to have come on here and then the takeaway is like, well, that Rob guy sure does hate Kickstarter. Cause like, that's not what I'm trying to say at all. I do think that it gets really complicated when you are making a promise of meaningful art and then
Totally.
afterwards having to deliver on that promise.
It's terrifying.
Terrifying, and also like just doesn't seem like it's in the spirit of what making art is.
Yeah.
But I mean,
but then
I
again, that is what a
literally
record
don't
label
know
is.
anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that's what a record label is, and that is like the other reason why like it seems not like record labels are not going to be a thing of the future. I mean, they're already not. They're already not a thing now. But like, if in the percentage wise, most of the artists out there aren't using labels because they don't work anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why I think that like that's probably not what we're moving towards. Like, I don't think we're moving towards like the label thing, and I don't think that we're moving towards kind of roping ourselves in anymore. Like, I think that there's enough music now that is so feels so much more individual and so much more like has the freedom to be like as unhinged as it wants. And that's probably the most exciting thing to me, I think
so too. I totally agree. It's 6:58. I know you have something at 7, but if you do have a second, I would like to ask you before you leave what's going on with Real Sword. Is there any? Could you update us on what's going on with Real Sword?
Well, I'm trying to think of like what this is like, sounds like we're so much of a bigger deal than we are, but like I'm trying to think of what I'm allowed to say, what I'm not allowed to say.
Well, we know that 2 of your shows are ending this next week, right?
Yes, yep, that's right. 1. Yep. So our wine show, Juicebox. just ended. On I guess that was last night.
Oh yeah, that was the last one. Right.
And then me and Jay's radio show, Real Sword Radio, will have our season finale on Tuesday, and I don't know when this is going to air, but it's on
probably
Tuesday. Oh wow, man! See, you are so good at just like immediately releasing. But yeah, on Tuesday, December 15th, then the last Real Sword Radio will happen, and yeah, tune in for that if you want.
Are there other shows that
fun?
Are you still working on some of the other shows y'all were doing, at least I know when it kicked off?
Yeah, so all of those have also come to their ending points. There were 3 other shows that were all kind of like mini series. Boy, I tell you what, I don't think that me and Jay and anybody else thought that the pandemic was going to last this long.
Yeah, right.
Like initially, the Real Sword TV network was created as just like a way for us to be able to hang out during a pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And the show, me and Jay's show, and Juicebox 2 has turned into a lot more than that. But the other stuff was really just like for that purpose, like Board with Brady and
Dungeons and Dragons,
and Dragon Heist, and like those shows, like were never intended to be like they were intended to be like kind of a mini series.
Right.
And then they ended, and we were just like, I guess we're gonna keep doing this until quarantine is over, and it's not over yet. So. But yeah, like we have our last one then, and then we're going to be finding some different ways to release the radio show. That's really exciting because I think it'll be more in a podcast sense, where like we'll be able to archive those shows and go back to them, since we don't really have that option right now. It's really just like a live thing. But other than that, like working on a lot of music with some people, I don't think I'm allowed to talk a ton about it yet. But if you follow at Real Sword Co. or even just follow me, I definitely talk about the music that I'm working on a lot.
Follow Real Sword Co. on Instagram.
Yeah, and follow Rob Griffith because there's a lot of stuff that me and my brother are making and like making with folks that I'm really, really, truly like more excited than I have been for anything else I've ever been musically involved in.
Wow.
So, yeah, can't wait for that. I wish I could be more specific, but I will next time.
No worries, man. I'm excited. Yeah, we'll come back on next time something else is rolling. Maybe season 3 we'll get you back on and we can talk about what's going on next. So congrats on Real Sword TV and the all that you were able to do. I am personally excited because I've always am not free to watch your show, but like it's like literally would be a source of how I find music.
Oh yeah, totally.
More so if I could. I mean, you do have the playlist people can hear on Apple Music and Spotify, and I mean, you'll have the best music taste. So I think that's gonna be awesome. And I'm also gonna be testing the waters for that Anchor stuff. So excited to try. Like,
yeah, we should talk about that together. We can talk about it off air.
I would absolutely love that, man. Thanks for joining me again. It's truly my pleasure to get to talk to you. I have always wanted to talk to you more. So yeah,
man, I'm thankful for you, Nordista Freeze. I'll talk to you real soon.
Thanks.
I should say, I do need to leave, but so we did have we had our top 40 of the year. That was our Christmas special where like all of our audience like sent us their lists of like the top songs of the year.
Right.
And let me check and see what number it was, but there was a Nordista Freeze song in the top 40 songs.
That's crazy, dude.
Do you know which song it was?
Was it The Moment?
Nope.
Wow, really?
Nope.
Was it Dolphin?
Nope.
Wisteria?
Nope. It was First Time at number 36.
Are you serious?
Yep. Truly got just so many votes for First Time. Because, I mean, that song is undeniable. That's probably my favorite Nordista Freeze song, too. So,
dude, that's my favorite Nordista Freeze song. Well, I don't know if I can say that. But I literally, I mean, if I'm going to show someone one song, it's that one. But, it doesn't stream. Like, it's not, I don't even know if it's in the top 5. Like, it's like.
Oh, man.
But that's weird that. Wow, this is really encouraging because that's awesome. That song means so much to me.
It crossed my desk many, many times a couple weeks ago when people were sending in their votes. So I was so excited to get that. I was like, oh yeah, another one for First Time.
That's so flipping crazy, dude. That rules. That makes me like feel so much like I need to make more music. Makes me want to make more music.
Yeah.
Thanks for the encouragement, man.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right.
Until next time,
thanks so much for having me on. I'll talk to you really soon.
Yeah, talk to you soon. Peace out.
Bye, buddy.
Bye-bye. All right, everybody. That was Rob Griffith. Yeah, for real. So, Real Sword Co. on Instagram, _Rob Griffith _ If you're on YouTube, it's all going to be below. I'll drop Jay, his brother's Instagram as well. And thank you so much for being a part of this. Thank you guys for listening. And, if you're not doing anything in the next 60 seconds and want to help out in a free way, consider giving us a like and a comment and a subscribe, all that jargon. It's real stuff. And I'll respond to your comment probably and, see if you subscribe. So that would mean the world to me. And my name's Nordista Freeze. If you don't know me and you just know Rob, I'd love to be your friend. I live here in Nashville and my DMs are always open. So hit me up. Have a great night, everybody. And I'll see you next time. Peace.